All right, special edition of the Outer Banks This Week podcast. Definitely wanted to shine some light on some different things in our community. And you know, when I do these special podcasts, it's for a great reason. I just did one recently for the Feel the Love campaign that Lennox Air Systems did with Master Heating and Cooling, giving a free air system to a community neighbor in need. But this one isn't exactly about it isn't about an event, but we'll get to that part in a minute. And it's not about your typical run of the mill, like where I'm out promoting a business or anything of that nature. This one hits home in a lot of different ways with a lot of local folks and visitors alike. And you'll see what I mean. I have with me today Miss Whitney Knollenberg. Did I say that right?
You got it, Justin. Perfect.
I'm good at, I'm not good at much, but I am good at messing things up.
Nope, you nailed it.
And then I have community advocates, and she's a wonderful person, dear friend of mine. I've known her for a good handful of years now, and just her involvement in many different areas of our communities here on the Outer Banks is just crazy how much. I mean, I'll call her, be like, hey, what are you? So I have a meeting here with this group, and then I got a child and youth partnership, and then I got, this, that, and the other. And anyway, Macey Chovaz. I know I messed that one up because when I talk to Siri, I'm like, Siri, call Macey Chovaz. I have to say that. You don't pronounce the Z though. So look, it's going to call you now. I just said it and Siri's going to pick up on it. But anyway, regardless, she's here as well. Ladies, thank you for coming in and hanging out with me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, excited to be here, Justin.
Absolutely. So what we're going to talk about today is something that is, it's an issue that we face on a regular basis, a daily basis on the Outer Banks. And Miss Whitney is here to try to help us maybe navigate through it. And that is the issue of employment, workforce, individuals coming to work, finding ways to help businesses get more employees. And this can go many different ways. But Miss Whitney, talk to me a little bit about yourself, like where you're from, school, your vision, how you got this drive about you to come in. Because when I met you, 6 months ago,
Yep.
My wife got me in touch with you, and I was like, I didn't know what to expect. And then I was like, after meeting you, I was like, you need to meet Macey.
Yeah, and you were so right.
Nailed it. Absolutely.
When she said she went to Michigan State, I was like, wait a minute, you definitely got to meet Macey now. Yeah, two Michigan State, two Sparties in the same room.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, tell me a little bit about yourself. Talk to me.
Well, thanks, Justin. So excited to be here and really excited to be here with Macey. As you said, you do have two Spartans in the room.
Yes,
so
be careful.
I will give you a little background on myself. I'm from Michigan originally. So grew up in a little town, southwestern Michigan, very rural area, lots of agriculture in the region that I grew up in. Super beautiful. I love it very much. My family's still there, so I get to go back and visit quite a bit. And I actually grew up coming to the Outer Banks.
No kidding.
Yeah. My dad grew up in Arlington, Virginia, and his parents were always looking for something for him and his brother to do in the summer. So they would come down to Avon Pier and stay at the pier. This would have been like probably, I don't know, like the late 60s or so.
Okay.
And so they had a place at the pier and the boys would fish and grandma and grandma would just hang out. And my dad loved it so much that when he went to Virginia Tech for his undergrad, he would spend the summers out here working at Port of Call.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So he was a busboy at Port of Call and would surf in the morning, fish as much as he could, work at Port of Call in the evening. And he did that for several summers and just loved it and kept coming down here all the time. And then when I was born, they would bring me down here and we'd pack up. They're living in Michigan. They'd pack up Dad's pickup truck. Drive from Michigan, which is down to Avon.
How long did that take?
That's like an 18-hour drive.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, with me in the car, with all the rods in the back. And then even when my sister was born, 3.5 years later, we all would just pack in the truck, get down here. And every October, this is how you know, like my dad was for real about this, we would take me out of school in Michigan so he could come fish here in the Outer Banks. And so those were like core memories for me growing up, was coming to the Outer Banks and being in the beautiful beaches and just really loving this space.
That's pretty awesome. So this isn't foreign territory to you.
No.
You have been here before multiple times.
Multiple times.
You knew where you were going when you decided to launch this initiative.
Yeah, exactly. So just a little build up to that. I'll talk about the Workforce Network here in a second. But I did, as you mentioned, my undergrad at Michigan State. Go Green.
Go white.
There we go.
Go blue.
No. Note, Whitney and Macey have left the building. So did my undergrad actually in Parks, Recreation, Tourism, Resources at Michigan State. Loved doing research in that space. So went on to do my master's at East Carolina University. I was in the first cohort of their Masters of Science in Sustainable Tourism program there.
Oh.
ECU was the first program in the country to have a Master's of Science in Sustainable Tourism. And I got to be a part of the first cohort in that group, which is really cool. So very forward thinking of ECU. So for all my fellow pirates out there, you should be really proud of that as a part of our experience at ECU.
That's pretty awesome.
And that got to bring me back to the Outer Banks, actually my master's thesis work up in Currituck County, doing some work around second home owners' perceptions of sustainable tourism development. So we looked at Currituck County, Pender County, and Brunswick County and compared across there. So this was 2009, 2011.
Okay.
And so I've been doing this sort of community engaged tourism work in the Outer Banks for a while now, almost 2 decades, which is kind of crazy to think about, honestly. And so after ECU, I did my PhD at Virginia Tech in hospitality and tourism management. So I am a Spartan Pirate Hokie member of the Wolfpack, which covers all of my bases for the most part.
That's a heck of a combination.
It is a heavy combination. So in 2016, I came back to North Carolina, started at NC State in the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Management. I also work very closely with our cooperative extension service through NC State. So if you're familiar with 4-H or Master Gardeners, anything like that, that same program has a focus on tourism. And so it is part of my job at NC State. And it's why I'm at NC State. And I love being at NC State. Part of my job is to serve the tourism industry and the tourism destinations of North Carolina. So I am supposed to take the knowledge and teaching that I do at the university and bring it to the people of North Carolina.
We're lucky to have her.
Oh, thanks, Macey.
Yeah, I learned that very quickly because, again, I talk to a lot of people on a regular basis. Sure. And when my wife was like, you need to talk to her. And I don't even remember exactly y'all met.
We met at an OBAR meeting at some point in March or February or March. And happened to cross paths there. Yeah. Okay.
That's what, because I know she's been heavily involved with OBAR for a long time. And she said, you need to talk to her. You need to talk to her. And I didn't quite know, I walked in with a lot of just what am I walking into right now? Who am I talking to? What am I doing? And then I learned very quickly. I was like, okay, this person is here to help solves a lot of issues, and she's got a lot of background, a lot of study, and a lot of education in this realm, in this world of a problem. I mean, it's what it is, a problem that we have here on the Outer Banks that, again, I need people to understand that maybe listening to this from other places, that part of maybe why you had to wait a little longer at one of your favorite restaurants or to do one of your favorite activities here on the Outer Banks may have been a result of the fact that it's hard to find good help around here that can afford to be here and live here and things like that. So that's why I was like, you know what? I juggled with whether or not I wanted to do a podcast about this. Right. And then all of a sudden I started thinking, I was like, it's just like a light bulb when I was like, you got to do one about this.
Yeah.
So, talk to me a little bit about what your kind of initiative is with this workforce summit that we've got coming up in November, and what was what are some things that you've discovered with talking with Macey and things like that? Talk to me about that.
Sure. So this year, I've been helping bring together the Outer Banks Workforce Network to address some of those exact problems that you're talking about, Justin. With the work that I've done here over the years, one of the primary challenges that I see for the tourism industry and really the sustainability of the Outer Banks region as a whole is access to workforce members. And so these workforce members, whether they're working in a restaurant, whether they're working in a grocery store, landscaping service, the bank, they're all touched by tourism here. It doesn't have to just be folks in food service or hospitality.
Right.
Everybody here is impacted by tourism, and tourism does a lot of amazing things for this region, right? It brings in lots of revenue. It brings in lots of taxes, helps support a lot of the things that we really love about the Outer Banks. But it also makes a lot of challenges around things like housing costs, even down to the availability of childcare, which Macey is really our expert on that, and she can talk a little bit more about those impacts. It creates a lot of challenges for folks who are really just trying to contribute to this community. These workforce members are really the beating heart of the Outer Banks. They are what makes this place so special. Yes, we have beautiful beaches. Yes, we have incredible things like the horses in Corolla and the fishing down out of Oregon Inlet and the beauty of Ocracoke. Like we have that all across the region. But if we don't have people who are here being a part of those businesses and actually delivering the incredible experiences that we want all of our visitors to have, we don't have any of those benefits that we get from tourism.
Absolutely.
So the Outer Banks Workforce Network was created as an opportunity for those working in the Outer Banks, not just those in tourism, but anyone working in the Outer Banks, to really accomplish three things. One, to build their professional network. So we offer opportunities for people to come together, very casual environments, just to meet and greet. I know both of you came to some of our networking meetings we had back in the spring. And that's just a space for these workforce members to really be able to get to know their peers, build out that professional network. It's really hard to do that in any place, but particularly in a place like the Outer Banks where we're really spread out and everyone is super busy. So intentionally creating space for people to network is one part of the network. The second part is to connect those workforce members with the local decision makers who are impacting their everyday life. So whether that's an elected official, whether that's a nonprofit leader, whether that's a city or a county staff member, folks who are making those decisions around things like housing, childcare, career planning resources. The network exists to connect workforce members with those decision makers so that their voice is heard and they can actually have a line of communication with those folks who are making decisions. And then thirdly, it's a space for them to access resources around key issues that are important to them. So we're working on building out our website. That's obxworkforcenetwork.org. And there will be a list of resources there. That's something that Macey and I have spent a lot of time talking about, finding these sort of one-stop shop places where you can find information about housing resources or childcare resources, career planning resources. And our website will serve as a space for that. So collectively, what this work is trying to do and what I've really focused on this year and will be focusing on going into the future for our workforce members in the Outer Banks is to be that space for them to be able to thrive here where they work. We want them to be able to work and live in this community because if they're only working here, this community loses a lot of the vibrancy that we love about it. Right. So we want those folks to really feel a part of this community, feel appreciated, and be recognized for all the amazing things that they do for the Outer Banks. So.
And I think what I really enjoyed about the network is it's truly about helping people not just survive, but thrive in the Outer Banks. And seeing the whole picture that employers, workers, and families are all part of the same ecosystem, and strengthening childcare, housing, and job training doesn't just fill open positions. It builds a stronger, more resilient community. And that's been a really neat thing that I've experienced through the network.
Yeah, so Macey, I know you and we've talked multiple times. You've been on the show talking about other things and other benefits and events that have taken place in the community. Tell me a little bit about what brought you to the Outer Banks, because you... Give me a quick little rundown of you from birth to here. No, I guess. No, I mean, December 1st, 1985. Is that right?
84.
Right? 84.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done, sir.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I made her younger.
Yeah.
But that's one of the weird things about me. Names I'm horrible with, but if you tell me your birthday one time, there's a good chance it's there.
That's incredible.
Plus, you share a birthday with a friend of mine. So anyway, that helps. Anyway, I'm sorry. Back on topic. I mean, your husband works at the Outer Banks Hospital, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And he's pretty high up there on the food chain. Is that accurate? Sort of.
I mean, he likes to think that.
He likes to think that.
We bring him down a notch at home.
Got to knock him down.
Yeah, knock him down. No, I mean, I grew up in a place very similar to the Outer Banks in that it was pretty rural, but really safe, and really the focus of our community was our public schools, which I feel like brings everyone together here in our community. We were really drawn here because of the schools and the safety and the beauty that is the Outer Banks, and being able to really live that outdoor lifestyle.
Okay. So with that, you've been able to successfully, I mean, your husband works at the hospital and everything like that, but I mean, there's struggles and things with people that are working at the hospital currently that they're having to drive from significant distances and everything as
Absolutely.
well.
I mean, the workforce issues aren't just in one industry here in the Outer Banks. It really is impacting, those skilled trade positions and everything. So everything from the hospital, the school system to hospitality, restaurants, we're seeing it all over the place. And I think when I first moved here, I had a really great job. And it was the cost of childcare that really forced me to make the decision to stop working. And luckily, I'm able to put my energy into some really amazing volunteer organizations. But it was childcare that really forced me to stop working.
Okay. So, and then that's the thing. I mean, that's part of this whole element as well, is that part of it. So,
yeah. And I think we hear from both the employer side and the employee side that they need a job that they get paid at a rate that they can afford childcare and housing, which are two very expensive pieces of life here on the Outer Banks. And we've also seen people who are driving over an hour, right, to work here, and they don't have childcare at home that opens early or stays late, which impacts the shifts and hours that they can work, and thus employers the hours that they can stay open. So I think that's a huge part of the puzzle here. That is the workforce.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the workforce summit that's coming up in November. What's the date of that? Give us the date and everything. Sure. And where.
So that is happening. The Outer Banks Workforce Summit is happening on November 12th at the Coastal Studies Institute in Wanchese. And this event is really designed to be a showcase of workforce members talking about certainly the challenges that they have. We're focusing on housing, childcare access, and career planning. These are issues that, through the many conversations I've had with workforce members across the region, are really top of mind key issues. So just as Macey was saying, these are big decisions that workforce members have to make about their ability to work or where they're going to live. These are things that are top of mind for folks. And so the summit is designed to be a space for workforce members to talk about those challenges, share their experiences, and start to lead the conversation around solutions to those challenges. So I have put together panels for each of these topics that will be led by a workforce member who can talk to their experience and then speak to another workforce member on the panel about their experience. So we're really hearing that voice of the workforce. And then we'll also include an expert on the topic from a state level. So we have someone coming from like the North Carolina Housing Financing Association to come and talk about what does housing access and housing affordability look like at the state level of North Carolina. And then we'll also have some local level solutions examples. So we have the Community Home Trust coming to talk about the Community Land Trust model that they've applied in Orange County, North Carolina. So we're working in the context of the state of North Carolina. Policies at the state level will be similar. There obviously will be contextual issues that will affect how something like that could be implemented here in the Outer Banks region, but it gives us something to talk about and think about that has worked in our state around housing availability and access. So we'll replicate that for childcare as well as career planning. And that'll be our morning piece. The morning is kind of going to be an info dump. There's going to be a lot of talking, a lot of ideas out there. And then we'll have lunch, and the afternoon piece from about 1 to 3:30 will be small group conversations led by our workforce members. Again, they are the ones who the voice needs to be heard here. This is not going to be the Whitney show, getting up and talking. No, I love to talk. Yeah. If you can't tell, I'm a talker. This is really about them sharing their experiences and putting forth some ideas that could help solve some of the challenges they face. So the afternoon will be a focus on these small group conversations. We'll do a little debrief about next steps and try and put some ideas out there of ways that we can move forward to address these challenges for the workforce.
Excellent. So a lot of good information will be shared. A lot of good conversation will be generated throughout that entire day. And that's from 9 a.m. to 3:30, like you said, at the Coastal Studies Institute right there on the road to Wanchese. See, we debate on where the Coastal Studies Institute is. There's a huge debate, okay, because we consider Skyco its own area. So whenever people are like, where are you going? I'm like, I got to, or if I'm on my way home, I call my wife or whatever. She's like, where are you? I'm coming through Skyco. Like, she knows where I'm at.
We got to get Google Maps to update that.
Yeah, we got Sky Code needs its own like zip code or something. I don't know, but it's so it's right there ultimately, you know, in Wanchese according to the zoning of it all.
Right.
But it's maybe a half a mile at the furthest south of the Manio-Wanchese intersection on the right heading towards Wanchese. So lots of good information to be shared that day. You were talking about there's some individuals, like leaders and stuff from the community leading discussions. Can you talk a little bit about who might be out there or who's going to be there?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to have Scott Farmer from the North Carolina Housing Financing Agency come to speak at the state level for the housing issues.
Okay.
We'll have Kimberly Sanchez from the Community Housing Trust. That's the one that's based in Orange County. That'll be our housing focus. I'm hoping to get another community land trust leader there from a coastal community to join us too, because I know a lot of these issues are going to be very important to consider in like a similar geographic context. Right. So we're getting that finalized, but we're hoping we'll have another person from a coastal example there. On our childcare panel, we'll have Katie Dukes. She's with Ed&C. And you can't see it, but Macey is,
I'm very excited about that.
Smiling and nodding
because she's cheesing over there.
I'm a fan.
Katie is incredible. Ed&C is basically like a journalism and policy think tank that covers all issues related to education in North Carolina. So Katie is their early childhood development one of their early childhood development specialists with Ed&C. Does a lot of really great reporting on the childcare challenges in North Carolina and highlighting some really incredible solutions. She actually just did a phenomenal feature on the Children and Youth Partnership for Dare County fairly recently, talking with Sarah Sampson from there to highlight some of the ways that we are addressing some of these challenges here in Dare County. So Katie's amazing. She'll again be able to give us that kind of like state level landscape of the childcare issues. And then I'm very excited. We're going to have Ethan Dodson from the Boone Chamber of Commerce. So again, North Carolina. And Ethan is the development director for the Boone Chamber. So they have a foundation with the chamber there in Boone. And they have done absolutely incredible work around supporting childcare for families in Watauga County. So Ethan has done a lot of fundraising for them, and they were actually able, in the wake of Hurricane Helene, when everyone in that area was significantly affected, they were able to pay 1 month of tuition for every enrolled family in Watauga County for their childcare. Which Ethan says, we're the chamber, we're thinking about business support. So obviously we're supporting those businesses that are childcare, but we're also supporting all of our other businesses in Watauga County by ensuring that their employees have continued access to childcare. And that was not just like a short term, we're going to, do this for this month. You might say, a month, what's that? Well, that month of support that those child care providers received helped them stay open long term.
So that's killer.
Right. And it's about that long term sustainability. Yes, it's 1 month, it's kind of short term, but if they had lost that month of revenue because so many people were not able to go back to work, that would have been devastating to those child care providers, and they may not have been able to reopen down the road. So Ethan is going to come and talk about a lot of the different programs that they support through their funding with the foundation, through the chamber. And again, just giving us some examples to think about of how can we be creative in how we support our workforce with these specific kind of initiatives. And what I love about the Outer Banks, and something I've really learned this year living out here thus far, is, man, there are so many incredible nonprofits doing unbelievable work. And they are really holding up a lot of people in these communities and deserve just a lot of credit for making this community work.
And I think that's part of the power of the Workforce Network. I know when I attended, I learned about resources that I had no idea existed in our community.
Right.
And I think, coming off of State of the Child, which was really just a focus on our youth and our community, while we face a lot of issues in our community, we have a ton of resources and opportunities. And I think that's kind of the common theme of like, well, how do I find out about them? And I do think from these continued discussions, the Access to Healthcare Task Force has really kind of taken on this idea of a place where people can go to find all the resources, and not just healthcare, but rec and enrichment opportunities for youth. Information about other services and supports in our community. So that's an exciting thing that has happened due to all of these conversations going on in our community.
Yeah. And finding a place to kind of centralize that is really valuable, because with so many of these folks that from the nonprofit side of things that I've talked with, they're delivering amazing programs. They're doing impactful work. And they're so focused on that it can be really hard for them to get the word out about, the marketing part for them can be challenging because they're putting so much energy and so many resources towards the actual programs, which makes sense. I mean, that's what they're there to do. So the Workforce Network can kind of step in on some of that marketing side of things to say, hey, let's be that conduit to connect you with the people who need those programs.
Right.
So that hence that resource collection that I was talking about. And Macey, you mentioned that you had attended some of the meetings. The one that you and Justin were a part of was our career planning focused one, we'll also have a panel focused on that at the summit. And we will have someone probably from the Department of Commerce from the state level able to come and speak to that again at that higher level. And then we have Brandy Bragg from the Northeast NC Pathways Group, which is a regional career development program run through Commerce, and lots of really great partners coming together for that. They offer lots of resources for folks who are looking to either go back and get a different certification or recertify in skills. They have career pathways, career pathway planners. That's what Brandy does, actually, to help people think about, like, how do you move through a career the way you want to? What skills do you need to develop? How do you actually plan that out? Which is just a great resource for a lot of our folks who are working here in the Outer Banks, who want to stay in the Outer Banks and continue being a part of this community, but maybe want to transition to a different industry or want to move up into maybe a managerial level position in the industry that they work in. North Carolina Northeast Pathways can help them do that. And so Brandy's going to talk about some of those solutions as a part of our panel for that. So
that's
gonna be a great day.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a wonderful day. I hate the fact that I won't be able to be in attendance.
We will miss you.
I'm glad. Well, you may. So I have to be else. I have to be in Greensboro that week. But that's for some anyway. Let me ask you this: coming out of this event on the 12th, what do you want people to walk away from this event knowing? What do you want them feeling? Like, what is the goal, the overarching goal for this event, and what is your vision coming out of it?
Yeah, great question, Justin. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to specify that. So this event, ideally, this will be the first of an annual event. Like, I see this being the Workforce Summit being an annual sort of check-in, almost, state of the Outer Banks workforce. That will give the community leaders, community members an opportunity to see check in with our workforce. How are they doing? Where is their head at beyond just the everyday? It gives us the space to kind of have a day just to think big. And so we're going to be thinking big on November 12th. That's something that I want people to walk away with, thinking about the things that we can do. It's so easy to kind of get focused on the things that we don't have, but we have a lot here in the Outer Banks region.
Right.
We have so much good energy, people who want to get in, roll up their sleeves, people like Macey who use their time and their energy to do amazing things.
That's a go-getter right there.
Thank you, guys.
There's no quitting that. There's no quitting that.
Right.
One.
And so many places would be lucky to have Macey and people like her who want to dig in and do this work. And we have that here. So by bringing together folks who are impacted by these challenges, getting their voices heard, and then allowing everyone to kind of come together to start thinking about these solutions, like what can we do, not what can't we do. I want people to walk away with the feeling of there's hope, there's opportunity, there's ways to improve the challenges that folks are facing. And ultimately what that is going to mean is a stronger economy for the Outer Banks. That's great. We want our small businesses to stay open. Nobody wins when a business goes bankrupt. Nobody wins when a business closes.
You're right.
We want them to stay open. We want them to thrive. It's going to improve the experience of our visitors. We love that they come here. We want them to keep coming back. Like, nothing makes me happier than to hear people say, I had a fabulous time on the Outer Banks.
Preach.
Right?
Preach.
And I want them to come back year after year, enjoy it with their loved ones, enjoy it with their friends. And a lot of that comes down to, hey, we need the folks here who are working in, again, many different industries, but we all pitch in, we all work together to make that great visitor experience happen. And so we should be walking away from this summit thinking about those folks and how do we make it better? Ultimately, I think this summit is a place for us to dream big, be positive, and find the solutions that are going to help us all move things forward.
Excellent. I know you've heard me say this a few times, Macey, and I don't know if I've ever said it to you, Miss Whitney, but there's a saying out there, and I don't know who said it first, but I heard it from Mr. Garrett downstairs at New Vines one time when I was talking with him. And the quote is, a rising tide raises all vessels. To what I see here, this is part of that tide that's going to be raising people up. So being at this summit is something that's only going to make you're going to be better coming out of it, and having been in attendance for it by knowing more and having more resources at your fingertips and having connections with people that you may not have had before.
Exactly.
In order to improve the lives of all people involved here on the Outer Banks, all people that live here, come here on vacation, things that it's just going to be that rising tide, as I was saying. So love what you're doing. Love that you're here. I know we have discussed about how we can keep you here. I know you got to go back to NC State for something, but that's just one of them things. It's just,
Don't worry. My heart is always here in the Outer Banks. So I'm back here as much as I possibly can be. I promise.
I knew that, again, I'm kind of reiterating something I already said, but I knew when I first met you, I needed to get you in touch with Macey, and that there was a great energy about you, that it was like, we've got to figure out how to get this into the right areas and get you in contact with the right individuals to help push this thing along and to help get these ideas. Because everybody says, oh yeah, we've got a housing problem. Oh, we got a workforce problem. But they say these things and there's not a lot of action put behind it, or they don't know where to start.
Yep.
They don't know how to begin.
Yep.
And in a lot of ways, in my opinion, I'm here to help. Here we go. And this is what I've done in my, my school careers all the way through the colleges and everything. I mean, NC State to East Carolina to Michigan to Virginia. She's got a resume of she's a career college student.
I am. No, I tell people that all the time. I've never left school, but but the work that I do like this gets me out into the communities, gets me in touch with what really needs to be done. And it's truly the best part of the job that I do. Yes, I teach. Yes, I do all these other research things, but this is the work that matters the most.
Well, you're a valuable resource and a good person to connect with in order to help solve some of these issues. You know what I mean? So again, it was like a godsend in a way, when it's like, we've been dealing with this. How do we fix this? I mean, Macey and I had talked about this stuff offline prior to even knowing you. Yeah. We've talked about this a lot. And then all of a sudden it was like, I feel like we had just had a conversation about it before I talked to you. And then next thing it was like, oh, okay. All right, Macey, you got to talk to this girl. Whitney, you need to talk to Macey. Here's y'all's numbers, connect, and bam.
The Outer Banks definitely owes Whitney a huge thank you. She came in, actually understanding the issues and really listening to people in our community. Yes. And and then bringing solutions forward in such a short amount of time. We owe her a huge thank you. So thank you, Whitney.
Yeah.
Thank you, Macey. That means so much.
Anybody that could be at this summit coming up on November the 12th from 9 to 3:30, you will benefit from the information that's going to be shared that day. So I encourage anybody. Oh, okay. Next question. I got another question. If you go to obxworkforcenetwork.org, and I'll post this as in the description for the podcast. You take a look at it. You go to the events. You come down. You click on where it says Outer Banks Workforce Summit. You can RSVP now. Well, how much does it cost? Is there a cost?
$0.
$0. It doesn't cost you. That's the one thing. It's like, well, I got to pay for this. No, the gas to get you there and home or whatnot.
I will feed you. There will be breakfast. There will be snacks. There will be lunch. So come on down, have a great conversation with us. Be part of this conversation, thinking about solutions. If you can RSVP by the 3rd of November, that would be great. Give me a head count for how many breakfasts and lunches that we need. And we'd really just love to have folks from every aspect of this community involved in this summit.
Yeah. So even if it's not something that, like, I think about my dad, for example. Like, my dad needs to go, and I want to encourage him to go. Like, he's all about trying to figure out the future for his grandbabies. He don't care about me. He don't care about me. He cares about his grandbabies. So, he's all about trying to figure some of this stuff out. So I want to encourage him to be there, as well as other individuals that may not, this may not directly impact them, but it indirectly does in some way. So
if you care about the Outer Banks, this is for you.
There you go. Well, ladies, I really appreciate you giving me a few minutes to come in here and talk about this. I believed it to be a very worthy cause for you to come in and do this. Again, so many great things are going to be happening in the near future here on the Outer Banks. And this is a stepping stone to solving an overall issue that we've been dealing with for years and years now. So thank you for focusing your efforts and your energy here. You could have gone anywhere in the United States, Whitney, anywhere, and you chose our nice little strip of sand here.
It's a pretty special place to be.
Pretty special place. Ladies, again, I really appreciate you. We didn't leave anything out. Did I forget anything? No?
I think so.
I don't think so,
Macey,
Justin.
you had like a novel on your phone. Did you get all your points out?
I got all of them addressed. Thank you, Justin.
Ladies, again, I really appreciate it. Outer Banks this week, special edition of the podcast. Again, you need to be here November 12th at Coastal Studies Institute, right there on Highway 345 in Wanchese from 9 until 3:30. Ladies, thank you again so much.
Thanks,
Thank
Justin.
you, Justin.